if you've ever wanted to know how to get me to fall in love with you, I think this is the podcast episode to listen to. But yeah, let's get into it. Hi, welcome back to Nether Region Podcast with your boy, Tommy Nethersole. Today's episode is very, very different. I'm sitting outside today and I don't have the microphone on a pole, which is like very, very different. But I feel like it's much more chill. It's sunny. It could be really, really windy for you to listen to, but you know what? This is a sacrifice we make. And yeah, I feel like it's just like chill vibes. I also don't have any notes like I usually do. So I feel like I might forget some things, but I think I'd love to not feel like I have to follow a certain, kind of structure or kind of thing. So I might forget some things, but yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this podcast. And yeah, I really, really appreciate it. This is the first podcast that I'm recording in 2023. And yeah, thanks for being here. But yeah, today's topic is love. What an interesting, what a fucking topic. I think love is so special, and I feel like I said that about every single topic. But the thing about love is I feel like it's so commonly like entangled with and mistaken for infatuation. And maybe that's just for me because I feel like I get obsessed very, very easily. And if I find someone attractive, I just become like really, really like, infatuated and obsessed with them. And this recently happened at a party that I was at. And I feel weird about talking about this because I recently made a TikTok talking about this experience. And then a friend who was at the party replied to it being like, oh, like this is about the party that we were at, wasn't it? And anyway, it was just a bit exposing. I don't know. Anyway, I was at this party the other day and in the middle of talking to a friend of mine, I had to stop the conversation because I had caught out of the corner of my eye, I'd seen this boy who was just so beautiful. I mean, it was the classic. It was the classic curly hair. It was the tan skin. It was, a pierced ear that made me think like, oh, are they queer? But also I feel like ear piercings can also be a thing where I think, oh, they could either be queer or they could be really homophobic and they're like part of a gang. That's a really bad thing to think. But anyway, this man I thought he was so attractive. He was talking to like people's like parents and everything. And like, I don't know, he was just giving all the characteristics of being like a really, really sweet person. And I think although he was physically attractive, I think I'd also just like built up this image of who I thought he was in my head, and like I'd kind of put my ideal person onto this figure and this, person who was in the room. And I was just so infatuated, and the like entire night, or for a bit of the night, I was just thinking like, I just want to like get with him. I want to fall in love with him. I just want him, or maybe I just want someone, because the thing is, for like this last month or however long, I've been trying to resist the temptation to, go back to certain people, or just pretty much just resisting the urge to get with anyone, whether that be at a party or whether that, be going back to people who I've been with in the past. And I was saying this to my sisters the other day, and I was like, I just feel like I'm about to move to Melbourne. Like, there's going to be so many new experiences and opportunities and people and communities, and just like there's going to be so many new opportunities, not just to find, like not just with new people in a romantic or, sexual or friendship sense, but just new opportunities in general. And I feel like in this month before I go, I feel like I should resist getting with people that I've gotten with in the past, or, trying to pursue anything like that, because it's not worth it, and there's a reason that I left it in the first place. So trying not to go back to those people, I feel like, is a really big thing, because I feel like I have the tendency, and I feel like a lot of people do, maybe you do too, to go back to certain people or reconsider, relationships that we've ended or situationships that we've ended, because we start to view it through a different lens of like, oh, well, maybe it was me, maybe I did something wrong, or, you know, maybe they've changed, or, you know, you might see a story on their Instagram or something where they're acting in a different way. Maybe they act like they do something that's like a little bit cute when they've been showing like a really hard and cold personality, and it shows you a different side of them, and you think, oh, well, maybe they're not who I thought they were. But then eventually and inevitably you find out that they are the same, or at least that's been my experience so far. So I think for January I've been trying to resist the urge to go back to these certain people, because I think obsession is such, I feel like it's I don't know about a normal thing, but I feel like infatuation is so powerful. And I think I love the idea of love. And I heard this the other day, something about the idea of feeling the spark when you're in love with someone, or like when you first meet someone, like you have that spark with someone. I heard somewhere that it was a sign of an anxious attachment style, because, you know, you're worried about them leaving, or there's that mystery, or that, you know, kind of danger in like, oh, they could leave, or they're so special. Like, what if I need to, like, I'm so obsessed with this person, like I want to keep them around. And it comes from an anxious attachment style, which I think is really interesting. So after hearing that, I was thinking, well, does that mean that I should be, you know, going after someone who I don't feel the spark with immediately? And that didn't really sit right with me, because the tendency for me is, although there are like a lot of people who will reach out, or like be in DMs or anything, something like that, or like in comments, and there's all these people that may be reaching out and, you know, saying, is that really windy? I don't know if that's really windy for you. But anyway, although there may be all these people that, you know, are showing that they are available for me and like attracted to me, I'm not attracted to them. And it's always the people who aren't showing, you know, interest in me that I find the most interesting. And maybe it's because I have this idea that I want to turn them around or something like that. But I think it's such a dangerous and tricky slope, and I feel like I've been in the process of trying to get out of that behavior that I've kind of gotten myself into for the last year or however long. But yeah, I think that's something that's very interesting, of should we be going after people who we don't feel the spark with, and people who we instantly feel comfortable with, instead of feeling this spark of adrenaline and excitement? Because obviously excitement isn't sustainable. I don't know. I feel like that's very interesting. I really should have brought notes for this to try and keep me like on topic, or have a train of thought. But I think there's also a different kind of love away from the romantic side, of love for family and love for friends. And I think that is something that for the last couple of years has grown for me in terms of importance. And I think the love that I have for my friends, and I think, there's stuff like your friends are your chosen family. And I think that's something that I definitely felt a year or two ago very, very strongly and intensely, where I gave certain friends and really, really close friends all my love in almost a romantic way, as well as in a like platonic way. But I think that like friendships are so strong, and they make you feel so seen and valued and protected in a way. And I think friends are also incredibly special, because although everyone's born into a family, or most people are born into a family, but those families can often be broken, or some people could not have a family at all. Whereas friends is something that it doesn't matter how you started off in life or the circumstances of your birth, you can always the option is still there for friends. I would hope for everyone. So I feel like the love in a friendship is something that's really, really special, because it's universal. hopefully, again, like I hope that everyone has a friend or at least is able to be the friend for themselves in periods where they don't have that group of people who, they trust or can confide in. But yeah, I feel like friendship love is very, very different to family love, where I feel like there's a pressure to love your family. And this sounds horrible. If any of my family members are watching, love you dearly. Um, but I do feel like there's a pressure for a lot of people to love the people that, they're born alongside or the family that they're born into. And I think that pressure can, lead to a lot of trouble. And I think sometimes people stay in certain situations that aren't healthy for them or healthy for others, because they feel this guilt that, or this expectation that families are supposed to love each other and, be there through whatever. But I think if there's certain situations or people, or, behaviors that are damaging you on a consistent basis that, haven't been stopped after being addressed, then I don't think there's any love that's been shown to you. So I think it's difficult to reciprocate or to show love when it's not being reciprocated. But yeah, I do feel like there's a lot of pressure for people to love their family members when they really don't. I think from a young age where we're telling kids, or at least I was told as a kid, that, we love our family, and not just direct family, but like whether it's cousins or whether it's, people that you may only see like once every 5 years and you're told that you love them. That's very weird to be told that you love a stranger before making your mind up or knowing anything about them. I feel like that's a weird kind of pressure that we place on not only children but just our family and people in general to love these people that we don't really know that much about. And I think that's where we can sometimes get a blurred and kind of twisted, idea and concept of what love is from a very young age, where because we're told from a young age that love is standing by someone no matter what, blood is strong, whatever the saying is, this pressure to stay by people no matter what can lead to that child later on getting into a relationship, whether it be, it could be emotionally abusive, or it could just be, a toxic, unbalanced kind of relationship where they stick in it because they've been told and brought up to believe that staying in this relationship, that's what love is, withstanding the mental and emotional effort is love. I think that's really, really sad. But yeah, I think love is very much shaped from what we're shown at birth. And I think the term unconditional love is very, very interesting as well. To love someone without any expectations or under any circumstances. And I'm not sure if that's a real thing. I really should have written notes for this episode because I'm kind of just thinking out loud. Like, I don't think that people can love someone under any circumstances, but like maybe I just haven't experienced maybe I haven't experienced that kind of love yet. Do you know what I mean? Like, think about the person who you think that you love the most right now and thinking about them in like the worst situation possible. I feel like they could definitely do things that would make me reconsider whether I love them, because I'd be reconsidering whether they love me. Does that make sense? I'm not sure I know what love really is. I don't know what... I film weddings on a regular basis, and at every single one they talk about what love is, and, Oxford defines love as blah, blah, blah. And it's always the worst speech, by the way, just in case you're wondering. Never put that in your speech. It's disgusting. And I've filmed how many weddings, and everyone does it. Because everyone goes to a wedding and they hear that. And you go, oh, yeah, I've heard that before. And then they go to 10 more weddings and they hear that as well. Like, they think, oh, that's a good idea. I'll do that at my wedding. You're inviting the same people that were at the last wedding you're at where you heard that. Why are you doing it? Why the fuck are they doing it? I don't understand. Anyway, apart from like romantic and family love, I think there's also the concept of self-love, which I think is very much encouraged by like the media and stuff, and with this whole movement of empowerment and, you know, finding strength within yourself irrespective of other people and other forces and, you know, possibly materialistic kind of objects. I think trying to find confidence within yourself is very, very hard. And I think self-love is something that we kind of glorify. And I think to have this idea that we should love ourselves this is very sad, but I was about to say that I'm not sure if we should love ourselves. But that sounds like a really, really just like tricky thing to get into. But I think with self-love, there has to be a certain level of honesty with yourself as you're thinking about who you genuinely are as a person and who you want to be. And self-love isn't just about looking at all the great things about yourself. It's also looking at the very real flaws of you as a human that we all have. You know, there's certain habits and behaviors and thought patterns about ourselves that aren't productive or just aren't helpful or, aren't proactive. And I think that's something that we need to acknowledge when we're going through the journey of self-love and trying to find confidence, is recognizing the flaws within ourselves, and I think really taking our insecurities by the throat and really like investigating them and thinking where they came from, but also investigating the truth in those insecurities. Because I think when someone presents our own insecurity to us, whether that be through like a hate comment or through a snarky remark, it can really hurt us. But I think if you're continuously going through the process of, you know, thinking about what you like about yourself and what maybe could be improved within yourself, I think those comments don't come as big as a shock, or as, you know, they don't hit the same nerve because you've already thought the same things and you're already working to better them, or you're aware of them and you're content with how that thing is in your life. You know, you're fine, you're content with the hairstyle that you have, or you're content with the fact that you speak in this certain way, or you're aware of this, you know, of the way that you dress. So when someone else makes a remark of it, you're aware that that's the choice that you make, and you've become content with the fact that that's how I want to dress, or that's how I'm going to be dressing for now. And maybe that'll change in the future, but, you know, I think being aware of yourself is such an important way to evade the very real hurt that we sometimes feel when we're presented with remarks that, you know, kind of hit a nerve or resonate with our insecurities. But I think that something that I heard like probably a month ago, and I sometimes think about it when either I'm recording like a podcast episode or I'm just like going through this idea of like, oh, well, I just need to do this process of self-love. And it's like, shut the fuck up. Like, yeah, what I think about is this remark that someone said, like, you're not a self-improvement project. Like, you're flawed and that's okay. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're just flawed and like, that's fine. Like, I think treating ourselves as something that constantly needs to be improved or worked on or analysed is like fucked up. It's like you're just living. You're a literal child. You were brought into this world with like no knowledge, and you're doing the best that you can, and that's a fucking good effort. Look at all the things that you're doing. It's incredible. I think we're gonna die. Jesus, this got existential. We're gonna die very, very soon. Jesus Christ. But there's a very real possibility that we could die today in 30 minutes, tomorrow, in 80 years. And I think this idea of like an ego death, or this idea of people forgetting us when we're gone, what they call the second death, where it's the last time that your name is ever spoken or thought of. I feel like that's something that's really scared me, but also kind of freed me, because I think this idea that we will be forgotten, and the fact that we can try and build a legacy as much as we want, and we may be successful. It may, our legacy may last a generation or two, or maybe it'll last 100 years, and maybe you'll be a really influential person and it may last 100 or 200 years or something like that. But eventually, your legacy will die. Jesus, this sounds so existential and sad. But eventually, no one will remember who you are. And I think thinking that, there is a freedom to that you should live the life how you want to live it. You don't have to be stuck in stupid conversations with stupid people. You don't have to be stuck in like small talk combos if you don't want to. You only have a limited time that you don't even know how limited it is. So I think do what makes you happy when you can. Spend the money that you have now. And I know I talked about that in the episode about success, about people having inheritance money and not spending it, or people saving up money for their whole life to hopefully give to their like grandkids or to their children. But all in all, like ultimately, that money is like never really spent because people feel guilty about it, or they want to save it for their kids, but it's just passed down and it's never spent or enjoyed. Or I think, not to sound materialistic, but with whatever money you have, use it for the things that make you happy. You're the one person you can take control of. You're the one person who knows everything about yourself. And I think taking care of yourself obviously is the most important thing. Not to get back on the self-care route, but I feel like that's the epitome of love, of self-love, is doing things purely because it makes you happy. We should all just be kind, shouldn't we? Just be kind. And I feel for the middle-aged people who come into like the shoe shop that I've been working in for like the last month just to help out because they were understaffed. These middle-aged people who come in and are just miserable and angsty and just mad at the world. And I just kind of almost feel sorry because I don't know their circumstances, but it almost feels like there's no love in their life. And I know it's a sad thing to be confronted with when you see someone who seems like they haven't really been shown love in a while. And I think seeing what happens when love isn't given gives you a picture of why it's so important. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Spread love. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Just spread love. Yeah. But as I was saying, I think we often think that, love is this be all end all when really it's not, especially romantic love. There's love within friendship, or there's love for certain activities and hobbies, or, certain feelings. Love isn't just infatuation. And I feel like that's why people don't really trust when like people in high school are in love, or like little kids are in love in like kindergarten, and they're like, oh, they're just like in love, aren't we? Aren't they? Or like the kids are like, oh, yeah, the two of us are in love. And I don't know. They're being told that they're in love when really they're just infatuated with each other, or they're just friends, or they like each other. But I don't know. I really don't. And nobody does. Lying here in the sun is really, really not draining me, but it's just making me really, really calm. And it's making me not really be able to think too much about what I'm talking about. But yeah, I'm not sure how long I've been talking for, but thank you for being here. And I think that that's all that I wanted to talk about. Thanks for checking in. Thanks for being here. Yeah. My self-love tip of the day is meditation. And sometimes I get really annoyed by the idea of meditation. And I know originally I got really annoyed by the idea of meditation when I first went to see a psychologist. And they're like, oh, try it out. I was like, you want me to sit or lay down for 10 minutes just in silence, or like listen to someone guiding me and telling me how to breathe? No thanks. But really, it really like, it works for me, and it may not work for you, but I think give it a shot. Find a guided meditation. Like, you can type it up on YouTube, guided meditation for sleep, for positive energy, for mindfulness, for awakening your chakras. Like, do whatever you want. And I think meditation is something that I love doing. I do a sleep one. I was about to say every night before I go to bed. Not true. But I'm loving a diffuser right now. I have my diffuser going with my meditation, and that's like the epitome of my self-love. Some people do a skincare routine, but I think if you're going to take one thing away from listening to this episode today, it's to do one thing that is purely for you, no matter what the repercussions are. Like, go take yourself on a little coffee date. Go grab yourself an iced coffee on your way home, or a little tea. It doesn't matter about the repercussions of. This sounds very entitled. It's like, yeah, you can say that because, yeah, anyway. But, like, spend the $5 to get the coffee, or, do a skincare routine tonight. Do a little facey mask. Do some meditation. Maybe watch an episode of your favorite show, or, like, start a new show, watch a movie. Maybe do a board game with your family. Like, host a dinner party for your friends. Like, do one thing today that is purely for you, and it makes you happy, or even without the expectation of it making you feel happy. Do one thing with the intention of it being an act of love for yourself. I think take yourself out for dates, on the dates that you wish a partner would take you on. That's a really good one. Maybe I should start doing that. Yeah, I think that's the takeaway. Go do that for you. Speaking of takeaways, go get a takeaway coffee. Yeah. Thanks for being here. I love you very, very much. And yeah, tell me what you did as your one lovely thing today, as your one self-love thing. Yeah. I love you, and I'm going to watch an episode of White Lotus after I upload this. And yeah, thank you so much for being part of this experience. I got a really kind message the other day about this podcast from someone who's been listening to it and watching it, and I don't know, it was really, really sweet to hear from someone like who's listening. I think I love hearing people's takes on like the things that I've said, because sometimes I feel like I black out or disassociate or go to another place when I record these, because 30 minutes later I don't remember anything I said, and especially like a couple days or a week later when it's posted, or right now 2 days when it's posted, like I don't remember what I said. So I feel like it's nice to hear what other people think on the things that I'm talking about, because y'all are so smart. Y'all have such like cool perspectives on things, that like stuff that I don't even think about. I'm like, wow, that's a really, really good point. I should have talked about that. Or I'll be like, oh my God, I had that in my notes and I totally ignored that. Wow. Yeah. So thank you. You're really, really intelligent, and I know you might be intimidated to send me a message because I'm really, really cute and beautiful. And you're probably going to think, oh my God, he thinks I'm a weirdo. But no, I actually really want to hear what you think. If you listen, I'm never going to be weirded out. So yeah, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for spending this time with me. It's really, really cute. Yeah, okay. Bye, beautiful.